Good afternoon, everybody. This is John. Glad to have you back on another webinar. This is for Biz Weekly, and as you know, that's the only digital trade magazine in our industry. We have had some fantastic success, and we'd like to brag about it a little bit, but we've got a really good webinar here for you today, and I think you're going to get a lot from it. Some of it you may have heard before, a lot of it you may not have heard, and I'll get into some details here in just a minute. But glad to have you all here, and we've got people arriving, and of course you all know my happy old face, I would say, and of course this is the Power Group Companies. We are a consulting firm, and that's partially among our companies the Far Factor Vault, Biz Weekly, and Far Publishing, blah blah blah, all of those great things. So but let's move on here and get you some really good information. And as I said, to Biz Weekly, we've had in our first year more than 10,000 unique viewers on our digital trade magazine, so we're quite proud of that. And I hope if you haven't signed up for Biz Weekly that you will. And we have new content every week, as opposed to waiting for snail mail and other trade magazines to arrive to you. We have it every week, and it's good stuff. We're quite proud of it. So hope that you'll join us, and every week look at Biz. Now, the question is there a formula for salon success? And we've sent out emails lately, and there's been some great response to that. And I believe that there is, and one of the reasons I think that there is a formula is not because I'm so brilliant, but after now 253 different retail tanning salon companies that I've worked with. And it's really you people that are on this call, and a lot of them that probably aren't on the call yet, that have taught me. It was like having the customer base send me back to school. So it's been really great, because when you work with more than 1,000 salons, you're going to, even if you're of moderate intelligence like myself, you're going to pick up a few things. And so I think that we have created a good formula. This last 3 years has really been good. We've just seen some fantastic increases for our customers. And if you're looking to find out what we can do or how we can help you, there's a free consult. And if you want to take that email down. Now, by the way, just to let you know, this webinar recording will be on Biz Weekly as of probably tonight sometime, and you can listen to it as many times as you want. There'll be no limit. It'll probably be on there for probably the next month. So listen to it, get some information from it, and help your business. And as I say, if you want that free consult, it's just going to that, and you can get that off Biz Weekly too if you haven't had time to write this down. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to share with you today. Peak season priorities. So peak season priorities for all tanning salons for the next 90 days. And you're going to hear from me today some facts, but you're going to hear a lot of very impassioned opinions. And one thing I want to say before we go too far on this, I'm feeling more optimistic about the tanning industry now than I think I have in years. I just think over the last 18 months we've turned a corner. The clients that I've worked with have definitely turned a corner. And then with the new administration in Washington, as you know, if you've probably read the ITA report, President Trump will not allow changes to regulations unless the FDA or FTC or whoever's making the regulations takes out 2. So this is very business friendly. So the fears we may have had about the FDA putting limits on us and limits on tanners just does not look like it's going to happen. So I'm very optimistic. So anyway, priorities for tanning salons for the next 90 days is not finding ways to cut cost or spending. Now that's going to sound like that's a crazy thing for me to say. I've worked in retail and I've worked in business all of my life. I think my first job, I was 14 years old. I'm 70. I just turned 70. I know that's old, and it's terribly old. So, but for 56 years, I've been in business one way or another, and I've worked a lot of it in retail, behind counters. I've worked for giant companies like Target stores, a giant video distribution company that dealt with 18,000 outlets every month. So I've got a lot of retail background. I've never seen an industry, never worked in an industry like tanning. This is my 27th year, and I can tell you, if you have a trade magazine or some so-called expert out there that's telling you buy our support program and we'll show you how to cut costs, if they're talking about that now in peak season, they're out of their minds. You want to talk about that in July and August or prepare for July and August, that's one thing, but your best way to prepare for July and August is to increase your top line right now. This is an industry that thrives off of top line. So everything you do, every time that you spend in your business, you should be talking about maximizing your top line revenues. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about salon math because it's more important than looking at salon costs, because you think about it, if you want to cut costs today, what are your chances of getting your lease cheaper here in the middle of peak season, whatever? I mean, if you're spending time trying to get your lease cheaper right now, that's probably not a good use of your time. You can't necessarily get your equipment cheaper, although there is a lot of good newer used equipment out there. You can't have less than one person on payroll. This is not the time to be looking at cost and figuring out balance sheets. I know that sounds crazy. This is the time, if you want to do one thing and one thing only, it's get more people into your store and get longer, deeper commitments out of them as far as tanning, particularly UV, of course, has spray as well. But you want to maximize that top line. So, and we're going to go through a salon math. These people that are talking about, well, spend $195 with us for a support program. These people don't know support from page 6. Don't just aim to break even. That's not what you, if you're in this business to break even, do yourself a favor, sell your salon to somebody else, because this is a time when you should be making money. You need to design your EFT pricing because, boy, EFTs is where it's at. You want those EFTs to be easy to sell and easy to buy, and these are the things you should be doing in these next 90 days if you haven't already done them. Now, our clients did them starting last summer and into the fall, and some as late as January or February, but this is what you want to do now. And, of course, marketing strategies for the traffic that you need, because you can't do much if you don't have feet in the door. And, of course, we're going to talk about successful ways to avoid EFT cancels. And this is huge. You might as well start thinking about how do I avoid EFT cancels now, because the peak season is not going to go on forever, unfortunately, and you're going to have those Jason months where you're looking at, your employee standing in the store waiting for a tanner to come in August. So you have to have ways to avoid those EFT cancels, and I'm going to show you some things today we just did with a client in the last couple of weeks, so it's fresh off the presses, if you will. I think you're going to find interesting. Okay, so why is studying salon math more critical than spending time in peak looking at cost? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and I've already talked about some of them, but salon operating costs are fixed. There's not, if you take a look at your total cost over the year, the only thing that you can control really is, I suppose, the amount of money you spend on lotions, but that's proportionate with what you sell. I guess you can control your payroll, but that's proportionate to the fact you have to have at least one person in your salon, and probably more now during peak season hours. So your costs are so fixed, and there's such a huge percentage, your fixed costs are such a huge percentage of your overall cost. So increase that top line and your gross profit will jump up. And I'm telling you, for every dollar you take in to increase top line, you've got 90 cents or more that you can pay off bills. You can take money out of the company. You can pay toward a fund to be ready for the Jason months. I mean, so you want to keep adding those dollars to the top line. And selling EFTs provides that annuity effect you need into third and fourth quarter. Because I can tell you, the clients that we've dealt with over the last 3 years, they don't sweat out third and fourth quarter anymore. And I know there's still probably a lot of you out there that are saying, oh my God, we get to August and I don't know how I pay for the air conditioning bills, and I'm air conditioning my salon because it's hotter and blazes outside, but I don't have anybody walking through the door. You get good EFTs going, and yes, people cancel. We're going to show you some ways to avoid the cancels, but a lot of people don't cancel. and those EFTs keep collecting monies for you all the way through the end of the year. And it's funny sometimes, clients will call me after third and fourth quarter and they'll say, my gosh, we actually made money this year, more money than we've ever made in third and fourth quarter, and it is because of that annuity effect going on. And as your EFTs go up, so do your sessions or your salon visits, and that gives you more opportunities to sell and upsell service and products. And that's one thing, I've preached it many times before, probably to many of you that are tired of listening to me ad nauseum about that, but we shouldn't necessarily be putting a lot of effort into selling upgrades. We should be putting a lot of effort into selling upgrade levels. Because what we have found, and this is absolutely truism, people that buy upgrades on sales or promotions that you do, if you look at it, if you look at their data, more often than not, they're never using the upgrades. And if people don't use upgrades, that's not helping your business. Your business is helped when people get out of level 1 EFTs and they get into level 2 and 3 and 4. That's when you start to make money, and especially if you do it over a longer period of time, if they're on an EFT for an extended period of time, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. I mean, I'm excited about this call because I got a lot to share with you. I've just been accumulating this stuff for so many months. So most EFTs that are sold are at entry level. I mean, you get into this peak season, I say most, it depends. I've seen salons where they had 40 or 50% of the EFTs were at the entry level. I've seen them when they were higher than that. I mean, if it's a more mature salon operation where the folks that are running it really know their stuff, and boy, I could list off about 15 or 20 of those right now, particularly some of the people I've worked with lately. I've had the pleasure of working with some very, very smart people lately, and that's just fantastic. But anyway, most EFTs are sold at that entry level, so you want to watch your average EFT draw and aim for an average level between 2 and 3. Now, let's say you have 5 levels of 10. Wouldn't it be great if your average EFT was a level 4? It sure would be. And so when I say between a level 2 and 3, you're saying, well, John, let's aim for titanium, uranium-235 platinum level. Yes, that would be terrific. But the reality is that when we look at most salons and they first come along for our help, we see an awful lot of people at a 1.5 level, meaning 75% of their EFTs are at entry level, and those are the most vulnerable levels you have. If you're worried about fitness clubs, if you're worried about Planet Fitness and Anytime Fitness, and those people that have 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of tanning equipment, which you have to clean yourself if you're a customer, if you're worried about that, listen, those people that are doing that, that are taking that service, they're into it because of low price, and it's it's just an accommodation that the fitness club offers. But after a while, if they're serious about their tanning, accommodation tanning doesn't do it, and they're going to want to get out of it. But as long as you have the predominant number of your EFTs are an entry level, they are susceptible or vulnerable to being taken away by a low price at a fitness club. So as you get them into higher levels, they become more married or bonded to your higher level equipment, to your specific equipment, and to the specific service that you give, and then you're going to keep them. So if you had everything, if all of you on here, if you had 5 levels of tanning and you were all at level 3, I'd be happier than heck for you because I would know you'd be making a lot of money. A 2-option EFT duration works best. Now, this isn't just my opinion, this is fact. Over the last 20 to 25 clients that we've worked with over the last 18 months, this has worked very well. A 2-option EFT duration works best. 3-month, 6-month, whether it's easy to sell, it's easy, good for both sales personnel and customers. A 3-level, particularly if you're collecting a pro rate up front, and you're collecting the first month along with that, you're kind of getting almost half of what that 3-month. And I'm going to show you a pricing grid. It would just, like I said, hot off the presses. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. And this is different than what you've seen before. Okay, most 3-month minimum EFTs, and this is hard research, this is not just opinion, but most of them stay about 5 months, and most 6 months stay at least 7 months. Now, we know that we have people that are on EFT that stay years with you, and that's great. But I'm saying even if all of the people that you had stayed with you between a level 2 and 3, and they stayed with you on a 3-month program that stayed with you at least 5 months, you'd be making money, and you'd be making so much money you wouldn't have time to be on this call. You'd be in the Bahamas somewhere. So, all right, offering customer rewards is a great selling tool, and I'm going to go back to my friend Dion Borkwitz in Milwaukee. Dion was wonderful. We were working together here about, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, and he came up with a rewards program that was just fabulous. And I looked at it, and the light bulb went on, and I said, duh, this is a good way to cut down on EFT cancels. Well, now the latest client that we worked with down in Tampa, House of Tans, and Kelly and Mark down there, they gave me something that's even cooler on rewards, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute as well, too. All right, so why studying salon math is so important. The power of multiples and EFTs is huge. And so you've heard me talk about your individual customer average PCA, which is per customer average over, it can be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months. As long as when you compare your PCA, you're comparing against the same time period, maybe in the prior year. If you try to compare your PCA in second quarter versus first quarter, it's probably not going to give you much information to judge on, because typically second quarter, particularly from mid-March through the early part of June, is when we're doing a big share of our annual business. So PCA is controlled by 2 factors. Per customer average is controlled by 2 factors. Your EFT level draw, are they on your level 1 or are they on a level 3 or 4? Obviously there's a big difference there. And the duration of membership. If we can move everybody, well, we can't move everybody into a membership, because I know some people just want a 30-day or a 10-session package, and there's nothing you can do about that in some cases. But if you can get them into that higher level of EFT, let's say it's a level 3, and you got them on for 6 months and they stay for only 7 months, your PCA is going to go up. Now, interesting point. Again, we're salon math, and I hope I don't bore the heck out of you, but as you sell more EFTs at lower levels, your PCA may drop, but your overall revenues could increase. Meaning that if you're not selling a lot of EFTs right now, and Zach, and I forget, Zach, what market you're in, Zach just called me. He's been on the webinars before and very foolishly took my advice. But anyway, he called, and he was on one of our webinars back in 2015, and he's telling me that his business in late 2015 and 2016 turned around dramatically. And it's because he started really seriously going after EFTs and not worrying about how he can cut another $50 in payroll costs. But as you sell more EFTs at lower levels and those entry 1 EFTs, your PCA may drop, because now you're not selling as many 30-day packages. And your 30-day package or your 10-session package or your 5-session package on a per 10 or per session basis, and the money you take in, you're taking in more money then immediately. The problem is you don't have that money long term. It doesn't continue to go on like EFTs. EFTs long term will give you more money. But at first your PCA may drop. Now if your PCA drops but your revenues go up, you're a happy camper. So I've seen people that had a PCA, gentleman out in LA, had 3 salons out there in a very high socioeconomic market, and he had a PCA that was like off the charts, $170, $180, $190 per customer. But the problem was he wasn't selling as many EFTs as he should have been selling, because his pricing was too expensive at the lower levels. By lowering the pricing a little bit, we got some of the other people to come in. He's in Los Angeles, so he has a lot of people that want to be directors or actors or whatever. They're all aspiring to be celebrities, so they'll put money into looking good all the time. But they couldn't necessarily, if they're a waiter waiting to become an actor, they couldn't necessarily afford his most expensive EFT levels. So he lowered his levels 1 and 2, got more people into EFTs. His PCA went down, but because he had so many more members on EFTs, his actual revenues went up quite a bit. So, and this is what I say, this is salon math. This is what I do, guys. I had, for my undergraduate degree, I was lucky to pass college accounting. but this is what 253 customers have taught me. Okay, the very best result is to sell as many EFTs as possible at any level, and then strongly encourage selling up to higher EFT levels of experience. That's it. I mean, if somebody will only buy that level 1 or entry level EFT, it's much better than selling them a 30-day unlimited. It's much better than selling them 2 unlimited level 30 days. You're much better off on an EFT because you have a good chance it's going to continue to go on, particularly if they have to cancel in Salon, and then you've got ways to keep them from canceling, which I keep telling you I'm going to show you in a bit, and I am. Okay, usually when new EFT programs and employee rewards are initiated, Lotion sales lag behind increased EFT sales. Now this is going to sound like bad news. I'm just giving you the reality of things that happen. Over the last 3 years, what we've seen is EFT sales have gone up. For some reason, Lotion sales don't seem to keep pace with it, and I suppose it's because we have good immediate bonuses for selling EFTs, and it maybe takes the employees a little while before they finally catch up to doing a better job on Lotion selling, and I'm going to get to that in just a bit. So I think overall your Lotion sales will go up in dollars just because you have so many more visits from those EFT customers, EFT members. But it doesn't go up like you would think it would. It doesn't go up on a per session basis, what we used to call LPPA. It doesn't go up because now with more EFTs, you've got a lot more visits coming into the salon, and it doesn't keep pace with that. But that's okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. So the best way to sell more lotions is for sales personnel to sell lotions when they sell EFTs accomplished by a personal recommendation and good employee color. Now I got to jump on this. The good employee color just baffles me. I don't understand it, guys. I spend more time in salons and with salon people probably than anybody else in this business. And when I go in and I'm doing a meeting with them and talking about this is how you can sell more EFTs and blah, 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 and I'm in a room with 40, 50, 70, 80 associates, and I'm looking around the room, and I see most of the room is whiter than I am. And I have to have pink eyes, and I could be an albino. I am white, believe me. And I don't understand how you can be working in a tanning salon and not have good color. So for those few of you out there, and I hope it's just few, that still charge your employees for upper level tanning, please get rid of that notion right now. The last thing you need to do is to make money off of your employees by them paying for their tanning, because most of these kids aren't going to pay for it. They're going to take the free level 1 or 2, but they're not going to get the color you want. And remember, those are the example for the customers as they come in. You want them to have good color. Because if they walk in, if somebody walks in and your salesperson's got good color and recommends certain equipment, well, this is what I tan in. Wow, I mean, that's what a person will take. But if they look white like me, forget it. They're not going to do it. Okay, so let's talk about some specifics here in what I would call 90 days to success, goals and objectives. So this is huge, and would have been nice if this had been done 90 days ago, but in some of the calls I've been getting, it seems like people are still working out how to get ready for peak season. And as far as I'm concerned, we still got 90 days left. We can go into June, and let's not waste it. So some of the stuff you can't do overnight, and some of it you may have to wait until off season. But try as you can. You want to get as much of this done as possible. So first of all, simplify your pricing table to show huge EFT benefits. You've heard me talk about this before. You want that pricing table to show that the cost per tan visit, and assuming 12 visits for a 30-day and 12 in a month for an EFT, you want to simplify that. 2 years ago, I went into a client that had 137 different ways that you could buy UV tanning, 137 different ways. Another one I went into last summer, they had 68 ways, and that's crazy. Salespeople don't know what to sell, customer doesn't know what to buy. So simplify your pricing table, and I'm going to show you a pricing table, I promise. You'll like it. Then what I would do is track the last 60 days of sales by your salon associates, because you may need to retrain them Why? I mean, you do this because you decide who of your people needs help, who needs more hours, who should get less. And a chain, let's see, I'm working right now with 11 different chains, and one that I'm working with, we just looked at their numbers, and it was just astounding that there were 4 employees, that between those 4 employees they had over, in the first 2 weeks of March, they had over 3,000 transactions, and they were $1.25 below the company average in lotion sales, and they weren't even a third of what the top selling people were in EFTs as EFT close rate. I mean, it just astounds me because that is just absolutely lost money. I figure that those 3,000 transactions, they probably lost $5,000, $6,000 easily. So you want to take a look at those numbers by associate because you want to figure out who needs help. Maybe these people just need some more training. You want to figure out who needs more hours. If someone in the first 2 weeks of March has got 600 transactions and they're not doing it, you may need to give their hours to somebody else. I mean, handing out hours to an associate should be a reward if they're interested in tanning. Now, if they're not interested in more hours and they're not really interested in tanning, then the question is, why do you have them? And then, of course, there's the question, who should get less hours? And if they're not performing, they're not performing. You're in a business of selling an indulgent service, and it's nice to be a nice person, but sometimes, I mean, look at your tanning equipment. If you had a piece of tanning equipment that was absolutely not getting used, I mean, when you started thinking about replacing equipment, you would look at, I would hope that your software would have the number of usage on each one of your beds, and you could see which one is not being used, and you start replacing it. You would replace a bed with cold objectivity, and sometimes it's hard for people to think about that with salespeople as well. You need to make marketing plans to push membership benefits. That's what we're doing anywhere, including all email, Facebook, radio, social, Snapchat, if you're using radio, by the way. And boy, I tell you, we've been using more radio this year than we have in a long time, so it's kind of fun for me since I bought radio for the first time 47 years ago. Also, you need to shop your competition, especially these low-price options. There's too many people in our industry that are walking around with their chins down about Planet Fitness and Anytime Fitness and Who's Got Fitness or whatever because they have 3 or 4 beds in there. Now, I know there's some exceptions that sometimes you'll see a tanning owner that will open up a Planet Fitness franchise and they have 15 beds in there. Of course, that's a different ballgame. You know, but instead of walking around with a chin down, shop that competition, and you're going to find, I think if you shop them, you're going to find that, you know, these are not very good competitors. You've got to clean your own bed. The people at the counter really don't give a rat's behind about the tanners anyway. They sometimes have all stand-ups. Sometimes they have all lay-downs. They don't have a mix in there. They don't change the bulbs. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. This is not what a true tanner is going to want. So, but you're going to know that if you shop your competition. The other thing is you're building options for customers to avoid cancels. This is, in the next 90 days, these are the kind of things that you need to do. And, of course, decide, as we started to talk about above, which employees get the best selling hours. And this is different than talking above about more hours, because one of the really tragic things about this chain that we just recently looked at and those 3,000 transactions is many of those employees were working like 3 to close. Oh, my God. Think of when you look at the hours of your business, there's no 3-hour period that you do more business than 4 to 7. None. And you put a person that doesn't know how to sell, doesn't want to sell, spends more time on Facebook, or just wants to, whatever. And I know it's peak season and maybe they have a line of people, but you can still do business with a line of people. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But anyway, if you have somebody like that, you shouldn't have them working 4 to 7 because that's, you've got so much business at risk there. All right, and I know you're going to have questions, and I'm going to answer your questions in a bit here. I want to go through, so write your questions down because I got a lot to help you guys with. And the important thing is keeping your eyes on the prize. The prize is, as we talked before, about signing up every customer possible at any level. It's to discipline sales workers to read the customer's data. This part is so important. Somebody comes in and they've been tanning in your entry-level beds the last 5, 6 times. You know, that's the question that I think I've used with you folks many times, is the question you use with your customers: are you getting as dark as you want to? Oh, well, the rhetorical question is usually answered, well, I would like a little deeper color. Then you start talking about other equipment and other levels. But you see that when you look at the data. You also, when you look at the data, you see, did they get a free upgrade last time to get them encouraged about using higher levels? You have to really get your salespeople to look at the data of that customer. And even if they have 4 or 5 people in line, you can still look at the data. You can still see where people are tanning. You might see that maybe they bought a lotion packet 6 sessions ago. Okay, they need more lotion. And ask them anyway if they have their lotion with them today. And you can say, by the way, have you ever tried this? And especially if you've got a good tan, you can say, I love this one. You should try this. Bang, let them buy a new bottle or at least a new packet. So customer data is just like super important for your employees to be taking a look at before they send them back to the tanning room. You track EFTs and EFT upgraded levels sold per seller. The reason you do that, you track it per employee. You want to see, obviously, who is selling EFTs. And I mentioned EFT close rate to you before. Simple to do. You take the EFTs that they, like take February. You take their EFTs, you divide it by their transactions. It's a small, goofy-looking little percentile number, but at least you can look at it relative to what everybody else is doing, and you're going to see that some of your people are much better at selling EFTs than others. And you look at the upgraded levels sold per seller. If someone is selling a lot of upgraded levels, they're a hero for you. I mean, those are the kind of people that we want to see. And there's incentives that you can give out also to get your salespeople to take somebody from a current level 1 EFT and up. And what we have some of the clients do, they'll give out a bonus if somebody comes in and they buy a level 1 EFT, and then, a couple times later they come in again and a different salesperson sells them to a level 2, they'll give that second salesperson half of the bonus that they would have gotten if they had sold them originally at that level 2. Now, is that a lot of money for you? No, it is not, because if you take someone up another level and they stay at least, even another month or 2, you're money ahead, and that's what you want. The higher you get people at their EFT level, the longer you're going to keep them, and the more loyal they're going to be to your salon. Okay, set up eye-popping EFT bonuses. This day of, well, we're going to give our people $2 if they sell an EFT. These millennials will laugh. They don't laugh at you. They're laughing to themselves. Like, I'm going to go through the work of getting someone to trust me to give me their banking information or credit card. So for $2, I don't think so. They're going to buy a 30-day package here. I set up the bed. Go ahead. And that's what they're going to do. You want EFT bonuses that get these kids or these young people to be selling, and then you can monitor. And let's say that you're worried about someone selling so many EFTs, getting paid so many bonuses, and then all of a sudden there seems to be a lot of cancels. And that's the thing I'll tell you. You want to monitor who's selling your EFTs, but you also want to monitor those cancels. You do those cancels also as a ratio of their transactions, because we've seen it, and it doesn't happen that often, thank God. Hopefully most employees are honest, but you'll get a person, an employee that'll say, well, go ahead and sign up for this EFT because you can cancel next month, and don't worry about it. If you see someone with an unusual number of sales that is also matched with an unusual number of cancels, they either don't know how to handle avoiding a cancel, or they're playing games with you. Now, fortunately, that's not a lot of people, but it happens. You want to invest more time in training the selling of EFTs and then lotions, because EFTs are your most important. So you set up scripts, and if you don't have scripts, and by the way, in setting up your scripts of what to say, get your employees involved in it. Not every employee should be using the same script. They should use a script that matches their personality. But you should set up some scripts, and the more often you do that, and the different kinds of scripts they have, they'll know how to handle certain customers' objections. And of course, scripting for add-on lotions. Somebody buys an EFT and doesn't buy a lotion? Come on. I mean, that's the greatest time to sell them a lotion, is when they've bought an EFT or committed to an EFT. Okay, so let me get, because I got some good stuff to share here with you. In general, this is just a general quick thing here for you to think about, and it's marketing made simple, if you will, and I know we've already gone through January, February, but in general, this is what I've seen over the years. January, February is all about market awareness and market share. So typically what we do in the 3rd or 4th week of January or 1st week of February, we do a free tan week. We put out a lot of information to remind people that may have gone to sleep on their tanning in 3rd or 4th quarter, hey, we're out there. Okay, so that's simple, and we're past that. Now, March, April, May, June, there's no other theme that you want to hit that's more important than EFTs. Now, if you're doing emails and radio and Facebook, you can talk about EFTs, and you can do it around a thematic type of approach if you want. You could certainly do it around, like right now, I'd be starting to look at, we're probably too late for spring break, but I'd be looking at weddings and proms and graduations as that is a theme, but always about selling a membership every time that you can. So that's, to me, all the ads that we're doing with our clients right now are talking about EFTs, and they will be right into early June. All right, July, August is about holding on to your EFTs through customer rewards. I'll show you that in a minute here. It's also about employee rewards for retention and monitoring the results of that. And these are months, July and August, where BOGOs with year-end expirations would be appropriate, meaning that in March, April, May, and June, and January, February too, selling BOGO sales, buy 10 sessions, get 10 free, that's crazy. But during July and August, when you need traffic in the stores or in the salons, it makes more sense. But I'd put an expiration date on it, where some people, and I didn't know this back a few years ago, where some people have made a mistake is they sell a garbage load of sessions, and they don't have an expiration date on it. And that kills you. So you need an expiration date to have a sense of urgency, and most of the time I say, hey, 90 days on sessions, and certainly you want those BOGO sale sessions to be over with by the end of the year, so you've got peak season coming up, the next peak season coming up. September BOGOs are important, particularly if you have college market, also college EFT packages. So if you have a heavy college market, you maybe discount that EFT by $5 or something like that. But September is super important in a college market. It's kind of like your first peak season if you have a big college crowd. Those kids go back, move into their dorms, and they will plant their desk, their bed, and their computer, and then they're looking for a lady or a gentleman or whatever, and I don't have to go into that because we were all that age at one time. Okay, and in October, we do tour packages, again, to get people in there to experience the different levels of tanning, and of course, sprays for Halloween. Halloween parties, great for sprays. And also then November is Black Friday Blitz, and again, BOGOs, again with expiration. So like we might do a buy 30-day package, get a 30, but that means they have to use it, and it expires at the end of January. So now, if they tan until the end of January with those 2 30-day packages, they're ripe for upselling in February. And of course, December, if you've had success with gift cards in the past, and I generally don't see a lot of success with gift cards, but there are some exceptions. Some people do very well with it, but most of the time, gift cards are bought for the person themselves. You don't see a lot of women buying gift cards for other women for tanning. It can happen, but that's cool. I certainly like to talk up about promotions for sprays between Christmas and New Year's. That's a huge time for New Year's, and it's also a huge time to get them in the theme of New Year, New Me. So, and it's not too late to start then, so, because that's what happens. Okay, now, also to remind you about a Salon Superstar, because we've talked a little bit about this before. You're looking for somebody that has a good knowledge of salon lotion services, current promotions, prices. You don't want rookies. Good judgment, knows how to handle customer service issues, and flexibility. They're trainable, able to accept redirection, not afraid of failure. People that you can't approach, it's tough to train them, especially if they make mistakes. They show initiative, in other words, suggestive selling, acknowledging customers that are waiting. You got 4 people. If I'm standing in line, and I'm at the airport counter, All someone has to say, I'm sorry, sir, we'll be with you in just a minute. That's all I got to do. It takes all the wind out of my sails. Maturity. Please, God, can we hire some people with some maturity? You don't have to be 50 years old to be mature. People mature at different rates. But, boy, I tell you, just my office in here, if you guys could see my office, I ought to, you know, next time I do this webinar, I'm going to put on the camera so you can see. I have piles all around. I'm surrounded by piles of clients' issues that, and 90% of the time, it's people. This should be Jerry Springer Central, because that's what it's like. Again, you want a naturally engaging interpersonal skills. And I always recommend read Gallup's book, First Break All the Rules, about natural people with natural abilities. A selling ego or swagger. You want somebody that really has a little bit of an ego, that wants to outsell everybody else in the company. Work experience in retail, indulgence industries. Hiring somebody that worked on a cattle ranch, and that was their only experience. That lady she applied with me 3 weeks ago. Her whole experience was working on a cattle ranch. I'm not sure where that fits in with spas, fitness, beauty, massage, or sit-down restaurants. And again, sit-down restaurants, we're talking about usually a high-end restaurant where tips are huge. They get paid a minimal amount per hour, but they make a lot of their money off tips. This is upselling, and that's what you're looking for there. And somebody that has a true passion for providing service to others. If I were a younger person, you'd want to hire me because I love doing that. And they have roots in the community. Somebody that's moved around and moved around and moved around scares me a little bit because they may not be here next month. And, of course, compatibility is always really, really critical. Okay, so we've talked about that before. Now, I mentioned to you before the two-tier pricing. I'm going to show you a two-tiered pricing that, and this is a grid with, and I've taken the prettiness off of this. I've taken the client's logo off. I'm just going to show you this two-tier pricing. Okay, so here's what you've got in this two-tiered. And this we started working on about two and a half years ago. All right, so and the pricing would be different in your market. And this is only a 4-level pricing. Some people have 5. We even worked with a chain last year that had 6 levels of tanning. All right, so we're showing a single price. We're showing 10 sessions, a 30-day pass. Now look down here. We're showing a tan plan at 3 months and a tan plan at 6 months. So you start to do the math on this. If someone is a gold 3-month and they stay with you, even not just the 3 months, but even 4 months, you're taking in you're taking in about $180. And most people, I'm going to guess that most people on this call, your PCA is somewhere, your customer average is probably $110 or $120. So this plan works. You move them up to a platinum at $55 a month. They stay with you that average of 5 months because they're really bonded to your equipment. 5 months at $55 is $275 you're taking in for the 5 months that they're with you. And if they're on platinum and they're on a 6-month tan plan and they're with you 6 or 7 months, well, you can do the math. Now, I mentioned about bonuses, eye-popping bonuses. So look at the bonuses we have here. If I'm a salesperson and I sell that platinum 3-month, I'm getting $11. That's starting to get my attention. If I'm selling that platinum at 6 months, I'm getting 13. Boy, if I have a chance to take somebody all the way to titanium 6 months, I'm making $17. And this is why some of these chains in the past, we've had people making EFT bonuses $600-700 in a month. And you want that. You want somebody to get paid these ridiculous amounts of money because it's in proportion to what you're taking in. So let me show you a client that we just got through doing, and I think, as a matter of fact, their pricing is about to launch. And I won't say anything more than that because their competition, although they don't have really a lot of competition, but their competition may be listening. So here's House of Tans, and I don't need to tell you where they're at, but anyway, here's their pricing, and they did a really great job on putting this pricing banner together. I really liked what they did. I love the colors. Of course, they show the icons up there, so you can do a virtual tour of your salon without leaving the counter. I mean, if you got 4 people in line, you maybe can't take a new customer back and show them all the other beds, because those other people waiting in line are going to be a little testy. But here you've got the icons, and they can get an example, like under their instant, if you see they've got that Open Sun 1050, which is got to be one of the greatest beds this industry has ever come up with. It looks like a spaceship. It looks like it just opened up and an alien got out. It's a great bed. But they've got good, better, best, instant, and wellness. And their wellness is they've got a hydration type thing. And I'm trying to remember. They've got body wrap and whatever. So that's cool, and that's gives them their 5th level, whatever. So if you look at what they've got their preferred, which is their 3-month. And notice it's in the small language. 3-month preferred, 20% back in rewards. Whoa, what does that mean? Preferred plus, 6-month, 30% back in rewards. So let me show you what that means. And again, these rewards are huge when you're selling an EFT, because it may very well be the extra benefit that you give the customer that gets them to sign up for an EFT in the first place, and it may very well be what you can talk about if they come in to cancel. And here's what this is a really good customer rewards program. And Mark, if you're out there, I give you and Kelly a lot of credit, but I think particularly in Mark's case, Kelly, don't throw a rock at me, but Mark came up with this, and he just did a marvelous job. So on the preferred, 20% back in rewards. So they're showing you that if you're at the good, better, best, instant wellness level, if you look on the left side there, this is what you're going to get back. Now, what does that mean that you get back in rewards? You get it back into your Salon account after you've paid your full 3 months on your EFT. Minimum 3 months, as long as you paid that 3 months. So let's say it's at the good level, and we can go back up here. Let's say the good level, the entry level. Your 3-month, you're paying $29.99, in their case, $29.99 a month. So the client is paying out roughly $90, right? And they're getting back $17.99 in rewards. So it doesn't look like a lot of money there, but what happens if they were at the best level? And the best level on 3-month, they're paying $54.99 a month. You're getting a minimum of $150 out of them at 3 months, but you're probably getting more than that because they're staying probably 5 months. But at that best level, if you look at best level there on the left side, at 3 months they're getting back $32.99. It's a Salon credit. They can't use the credit toward EFT payments. They can't use it toward sessions or 30-day. They can use it toward lotions. And the lotion, just think about this for a second. If you give them a $32.99 credit on lotions, and let's say they buy, you just happen to have a bottle of lotion that sells for roughly $33. The raw cost to you is probably $4 or $5. I would put out that much money in cost to give to a customer every day if I can get them to stay at least 3 months and take in $150. So this is what they've done, and so this works great. You're selling somebody, and we'll go back here, and let's say that you're selling them on the best level at Preferred Plus, which is 6 months, and which is $45, and at 6 months you're taking in blah blah blah. I think it's $270. So let's say $270. Look at the right side of your screen, Preferred Plus, and you're at the best level. You're giving it back $80.98. Wow, John, that's a lot of credit. Well, it is, but in lotion, in terms of lotion, what does it cost you? Maybe $10, $15 at most. I would give them $15 in my raw cost credit any day if I could get them to spend and stay with me $270 worth. So you see the rest of what they've got there in the preferred. It's 30% off, 50% off upgrades, 30% off custom spray, and everything that Mark did on this, by the way, on his upgrades, anything that he did, it didn't make it that it would be cheaper to go with a 30-day unlimited and not go with an EFT. It made it cheaper, was what I'm trying to say, than anything else that you could buy. And look at 30% off custom spray tans, Bring a Friend Friday, and then when you get to the Preferred Plus 6 month, it's Bring a Friend Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all good stuff. So this is one of the better ones that I've seen, and it's a great thing to talk about when you're selling EFTs as a close rate or for closing them. and they come in to cancel, and you say, well, you've been on this 6-month plan for 5 months. You stay on another month, and look at what you get back in rewards. And it works. My friend Dion in Milwaukee, he came up with the rewards idea in the first place. Actually, he had done what he called bonus bucks years ago. But then when he finally turned me on to what he was doing as a way to cut down on cancels, I know that he's cut his cancels dramatically because of having that as a benefit to offer. So it works. It works really good. So I'm going to move to questions here in a second, because all I've been doing is talking. But a couple things I want to also share with you here, if I can get this thing to work. And don't know why. There we go. Okay, so I want you to not miss out on the Vault, the Far Factor Vault, which has got great content on it. It's got past webinars. It's got all kinds of stuff to help you run your salons better. And also Sun Biz Weekly. We're very proud of the digital trade magazine that we've got. The Vault and Sun Biz Weekly, information you need and want to stay in business profitably. There's my commercial. One last commercial, and that is the Far Vault. Starting April 3rd, we're going to offer the Salon HR Toolkit, because it seems like pricing and marketing is important, but it seems like the biggest pain in the butt in running a tanning salon is, and always has been, employees. And this Far Vault Toolkit is going to give you 52 weeks of critical documents. So every week we're going to be putting in a new critical document. By the time you get done being on this, you're going to have a whole HR department that you can put together in a 3-ring binder you can use for training your district manager or senior managers or whatever. So I want you to look for it, and if you're interested to sign up to the Vault, there it is, and you can go to that. And so now let's talk first now about some questions and answers. Come here, you. Okay, so let me get to what we've got here, because that's all I've done is shoot my big mouth off. Let's get to see if we got here. Okay, just waiting for it to download. Okay. Okay, so here's one that's coming in. John, how do you choose the bonuses that you pay out to your employees for selling EFTs? Well, there's as many solutions to that as there are, I think, hairs on your head, because different people will pay out different bonuses. I like to look at it at the pricing levels of your EFTs and make it somewhat in proportion to that. But believe me, there's you can't get much for $2 for an EFT bonus. That's not going to get you anything. So, again, we started, as you saw in this one, we went as high as $17 at the highest level. And here's another question that is similar to that. Okay, so here's somebody that's saying, how do you track and add rewards? Sounds very timely, and that's from Bridget. Bridget, thank you for your question. There's different software. Now, let's see. Dion uses Helios, and he tracks it in there. These recent folks, I think, use Sunlink, and they track it in there. And I think just about, Bridget, any of the good softwares that are out there have a tracking program. And now, Bridget, you're saying Salon Touch. I haven't dealt with Salon Touch now for a while. So if you say Salon Touch does, then I take your word for it. Oh, Salon Touch has points. Okay. I believe the other softwares have the option of points or dollars, that kind of thing, and percentages, because I know that's what Dion uses, and his is Helios, and I know that Mark and Kelly and Lori and Kelly, I'm trying to think. I've got a lot of Marks I'm working with lately, but I believe that all of their software between Sunlink and Helios has the ability to track all of those points or those dollars for those customers. So I don't think it's an issue. Now, if you say it is an issue with Salon Touch, Bridget, I would suggest give them a call and tell them what you want to set up, because it may just be something that you've missed. I I'm not an expert on Salon Touch. I bet I haven't dealt with a customer Salon Touch for at least 2 years. So I have to, if somebody is on here and can give us an opinion on Salon Touch, that'd be terrific. Okay, here's another question wanting to know about the HR toolkit. Will there be questions in there of, or will there be information in there how to handle employee discipline? And absolutely, progressive discipline will be in there. Also, there's going to be a coaching and counseling segment in there. As a matter of fact, the coaching and counseling is like a small book. I think it's, gosh, it's like 9 pages long. No, it's even longer than that. It tells you exactly how to handle an employee that is messing up or has a bad attitude or whatever. Is sometimes if you coach them, you might not have to give them a lot of write-ups, and you may not have to fire them because you turn them around, and that's really key. Okay, so another question here. Lance wants to know about radio. Yeah, radio is it's kind of a unique animal. It's unique in that I think most of the people in this industry know something about Facebook. They know something about email, but very few people in this industry know anything about radio. And that's, I'm not criticizing you all out there. It's just that radio is its own separate animal. If you know how to do it right, you can get so much out of it. We, with one chain in Illinois, we took their gross impressions from last year, which were over 3 million gross impressions between their 4 markets. There are 12 radio stations. I know that sounds crazy, but we redid it for them, and I think our gross impressions will be over 6 million for the year. So it's just knowing how to deal with radio because it's a kind of an unusual animal. So we're kind of running late on time here. I can take maybe a couple more questions, and here's one here, kind of an unusual question. So Lisa wants to know, is it an issue with hiring male employees as associates or managers? And you know, I look at generally speaking, boy, how do I answer this question? No, I don't think it's necessarily a problem with hiring them. We do, I think 97% of the people that work in salons are females. You just have to know the person, whether it's a male or female. You have to know enough about them character-wise. I will tell you this, I'll just tell you this, that if I have a sexual harassment issue I have to handle here in Jerry Springer, USA, it's typically going to be one of two things: a male employee that has done something inappropriate, but most of the time it's a customer or a vendor that comes into the salon and says something inappropriate to the employee. Okay, last question here is about dress code, and Karen wants to know, what do we do on dress code? And actually what we do, Karen, now, we have 2 codes. We have a dress code and what's called an appearance code. Now, a dress code is, we tell them what they have to wear, top and bottom. It varies a little bit, of course, in the summer. But appearance code, it's gotten to the point now what we have to do is we have to have some discipline and some guidelines when it comes to, and I put color in there. If you don't want a UV tan and you're an associate and you don't want a UV tan, then you got to at least spray tan once a week. You got to have some color. You can't expect to sell people the expectation of good color if you look white. So we put in the appearance code, we put color, skin color. We put in visible body piercings have to be kept to a minimum. You know, no nose rings, no tongue studs, no cheek rings or whatever. One little diamond-looking thing in the upper side of the nose or whatever. I mean, whatever you want it to be, but you should definitely have limits, because if you don't have limits, they'll go crazy on you. And also, as far as visible tattoos, again, you know, what the best thing to do on an appearance code is you have your employees give their opinions. Now, if you're the owner, eventually you have to be the one to make the decision, because as much as this generation loves self-expression, it doesn't always help sales. So, okay. One last question, and here I'm going to take this again from Bridget. Again, Bridget, thank you for all your input. After they have received the reward for being on a package for 3 months, do they continue to earn a monthly reward? Yes. In other words, what you do is they've finished their 3 months, they've earned that reward, and then you tell them, okay, now you've got a Salon credit here you can put toward a lotion. And the nice thing about that, let's say they've got $20 in Salon credit, and they want to buy a $50 lotion. Hey, they got to put out another $30. You've taken in some more money. But you're telling them, now if you complete another 3 months, we're going to give you the same reward again. Unless, of course, you want to move into a higher test bed, which I would recommend, and then your reward's going to be even higher after you complete that 3 months. So yes, Bridget, they continue to earn reward. But when you say monthly reward, Bridget, it's a reward for the completion of that 3 month or 6 month minimum program. Okay, so I want to thank you all for being here today. And again, if you want to listen to this webinar again, go to sunbizweekly.com, or you come up to johnrfarr.com. If you want to sign up for the Vault, we'd love to have you. And again, the Vault HR kit starts April the 3rd. So good to have you with me today. And there is a poll after this, by the way. If you wouldn't mind filling out the poll and saying, John, I thought that was great, or John, I think it really sucks, or whatever. If this information has been helpful for you, we'd just like to get some feedback either way. So thank you for being here today, and I hope that you'll be on the next Sunbiz Weekly webinar, and we will speak to you then, and I hope you're having a super, super slam dunk season. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.